From country hills to Cranston and everywhere in between, he's taking the pulse of the city. Calgary Today with Joe McFarland on 770 CHQR.
Time to lighten things up. We went from barley just a little while ago to now wine and a little grape. And Mike Roberts from Co-op Wine, Spirits and Beer joining us here on this Wine Wednesday. Hi there, Mike.
Good afternoon.
How goes the battle?
It goes
round and round.
Winded from running up the stairs from being
You
stuck
have me
in
worried.
traffic.
I've always wondered, how do you fake a Wine Wednesday like that? How do you go, oh, this tastes delightful? Tell me a little bit about this.
At least you have the internet at your disposal these days.
That
right?
is fair.
Google
Look something up quickly and
a fact about wine.
Agreed. On that front, what you bring in today?
I've got something kind of unique here. It's definitely a unique grape variety. Probably many listeners have never heard of it. It's called Negromano. Is the name
I can't even
of
pronounce
grape
it.
variety.
So yeah, give us a little bit about the background behind that.
Sure. So it's Italian. So it comes from Italy, and in Italy they have tons of different native grape varieties. Probably a couple of thousand different grape varieties. So not your usual typical Merlots and Riesling and Chardonnay, although they grow all of that stuff as well. And this one, really what it means is Negro is black and Amaro means bitter. So it's the black bitter. And it comes from the bottom part of the boot of Italy. So Apulia.
I was like, bottom part of the boot. Thank goodness you finished that sentence. Anyways, continue.
The bottom part of the boot, from squishing the grapes. But so down in Apulia, so if you looked at that, maybe you'd say Puglia. But so down in that south end where it's, you're much closer to the Mediterranean and the equator. And so it's definitely a hotter climate. So it's definitely known for growing some of those richer, deeper reds, like Primitivo, which is Zinfandel, and then this local specialty, which is Negromano.
What is it about Italy that sets itself apart from the rest in the wine world?
That's a good question. It's a really good question because it really feels like it's separated, right? I mean, you think of Italy and you think of France as sort of the two motherlands, maybe, of wine and grape varieties. But there's something about Italian wine, like you almost know immediately that it is Italian wine. I find that.
And not just and it's beyond the label, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that always surprises me about it is, whenever you guys bring in something Italian, it's like, yeah, you can definitely tell that there's something to this wine.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I don't know the actual answer for you. I mean, I've been trying to figure that out in my whole wine journey, but there is. And I think what the answer really is that just where it is on the planet allows for, really good ripening of the grapes in such a way that there's good fruit concentration and you develop really great flavors. And the grape varieties that grow there often have really good acidity and we like to call it structure. And the wines are just really food friendly. So, I mean, you are kind of in that area really where wine started, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
That must have something to do with it, I would imagine, right?
How challenging, and you mentioned that there are thousands of grape varieties there, how challenging is it to stay on top of them all? And especially given that, there's always those attempts at kind of changing things up and maybe hybrid mixing some of the grapes, right? Like, so how difficult is it from a wine connoisseur's perspective to stay on top of it all?
Well, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would describe it as being fun.
I was going to say impossible, but absolutely, you're right on that front.
But no hybrids. They don't do hybrid grape varieties, so it's all sort of indigenous ones. And what's really happened quite a bit lately is you've got these really old school, like heritage grape varieties that kind of got lost in the shuffle over the last couple of 100 years or whatever. And then now, because of genetic testing and technology and stuff, they're finding these weird little pockets in random vineyards, and we're able to test the genetics of it. And it's like, oh, this is this ancient grape variety, and then people, somebody sort of takes hold of that and nurtures their vines back to life, and then starts exploring it, and then it becomes something that sort of more people become interested in, and us consumers are obviously learning more and more about wine and sort of being able to comprehend all that stuff, right? So it's kind of neat that way. But they do have thousands of indigenous grape varieties, and So a lot of them have always sort of been under that sub-layer, and we're just discovering them again, really, right?
That's got to be the fun part of it, to use your term, in terms of the heritage of wine, and especially in a country like that, when you have the internet at your disposal, you can show off that heritage in ways that you couldn't do before, and that's got to add to the fun aspect of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you see a lot of in Italy for sure is some of these long lost grape varieties, a lot of white grape varieties that are coming out. You know, people maybe are kind of tired of the Chardonnay or the Sauvignon Blancs of the world. And a lot of Italian whites have really great mouth puckering acidity, and they're great with food, right? A meal without wine, it's a breakfast, is what they say. And so it's a lot of these really neat white grape varieties that will go well with all kinds of cuisine. So yeah,
it's fantastic that, again, you get to highlight things that way and make it more real, I think, to a lot of the wine drinkers of the world, is all of a sudden you can bring up something like this, and maybe, you know, it's got that heritage point, and now all of a sudden it's there right in front of you, instead of, you know, kind of guessing and testing. And so from your standpoint, how much of it is guessing and testing on your front? Because, or do you try every single bottle to try to get something to compare it to?
Like guessing and testing to see if like other people will like it, and that's something that, you know, you should get into. Is that what you mean? Yeah, and I think that's what we're touching on here with Italy is the wines very often are very drinkable and very approachable, because there is that fruit concentration and coming from the climate, and they make their wines to be drinkable and to go along with food and all that stuff. So I think that really helps. In North America, we want there to be a certain amount of, like, quote unquote fruitiness, right? We want that flavor profile and sort of richness. And the Italian wines generally, I think, seem to bring that. And more often than not, without being like super duper oaky, right? There's just that nice weight to them. So, and this is another example of that. I think this is such an approachable wine. That's why it's so great.
Wild stab in the dark. I'm going to say pasta and maybe some pizza. And that's probably what this wine would pair well with.
Can't go wrong, right?
Whenever
in Rome,
it's Italian, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to, you know, dartboard and away you go. Then, so talk a little bit about, give us a little bit of a description, price point, and this one, because I have a feeling there might be a sale involved here.
It's fun. It's called Negromano, which is the name of the wine. And this really isn't attaching itself to, like, you know, tradition and history and some big castle or something like that. This is a modern winery and a modern brand. It's a heritage grape variety for sure from the area, but it's on sale right now for $8.50. So it's just a fantastic buy, and it's great with pizza, pasta. You know, that Wednesday night, the traffic is not great out there. So if you get a little road rage on your way home, you can not have the wine in the car, but when you get home, you know, bring your heart rate back down and have a couple of little snacks. It's just so drinkable, and you very rarely get a wine at that price in Canada that I think is of that quality and of that that satisfaction. Do you know what I mean? More often than not, when we're getting wine in Canada for under $10, you get this sort of like commercial feeling about it, and it's not very characterful. But this does offer a little bit more of that and some more interest and stuff. So it's a great buy.
There's a word that comes to mind with that one as I tasted it: accessible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's very, very there for you. It's there to give you a giant hug, and it's wonderful. So there you go. We've got all the details up on Facebook as well. Mike Roberts, thanks for joining us and giving us a little bit of background on this wine on Wine Wednesday.
Thank you.
It's Calgary Today on 770 CHQR. Let's head on over.